Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you today for joining me on another video. And today I'm going to be doing a very interesting comparison. So over the years, Apple has repeatedly used the name Space Gray to identify the black color on their iPhones and other devices. However, the thing is, the Space Gray that they mention, it is never really the same Space Gray, because if you just look at this one shot, you can see that there's 4 different types of Space Gray right in the shot. Leave the iPhone 5 aside. This was called Slate Black. I'm just using this as a point of reference, but these are the 6 devices that are all been given the name Space Gray, but all have very different colors. So I'm going to start off with the 5S and SE. So just looking at the 5S and SE, at the first glance, it doesn't look very different. They look like the same color. However, after getting to look at it very closely, you can see that the 5S on the right is slightly darker, just a hair darker than the SE. The camera doesn't do a good job of picking up the color difference, but I can assure you that this Space Gray is not the same as this Space Gray. This was the original Space Gray color. It started off with the iPhone 5S, and it continued on to the SE, but they're not the same colors. So moving on to the 6 and 6S. So this is the iPhone 6, this is the 6S. Both of these phones are very similar. I don't think there's any difference whatsoever between the Space Gray and these two devices. And looking at the size and the bezels, everything, they're very similar. They have absolutely zero difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the 6 to the 5S. So looking at the 5S and the 6, you can see that the 6 is slightly lighter. It's a little bit more silver than gray, but it's still not that far off when looking at them head on. Definitely this has a bluer, it's like a little bit more bluish gray. This is a lot more silver. So there's the difference between these two. Then comparing the SE to the 6, these are a lot more similar than the 5S was, because the difference between the 5S and SE is pronounced a little bit. But looking at the 6S and the 6 and the SE, these two are quite similar in color. So I'm guessing that after Apple changed up their color a little bit from the 5S to the 6, they kind of carried over the palette to the SE, which came out a year after the iPhone 6. So now let's get into comparing the newest Space Gray entrant. This is the iPhone 8 Plus. The iPhone 8 Plus has the Space Gray color as well, but if you look at it, there's nothing Space Gray about it as you'd think. These are all Space Gray phones right here, and they look nothing like the iPhone 8 Plus does. This is a very unique color. The only thing I can say is that these bezels match the Apple Watch. So here's my Apple Watch. This is a Space Gray case, a sport Space Gray case, and these two match up quite perfectly. These two look very similar, so I could... The Space Gray on the Apple Watch does reflect a little bit more when compared to the 8 Plus, especially on camera. But looking at it, they're very similar shades of gray. These you can say are the same color from a distance, but everything else looks just so different. And getting into the back of this phone isn't black in any circumstance. Most people might be under the impression that this is a black phone, but on the back, it's absolutely not. It's more gray. And I honestly love this a lot more. I had the Jet Black 7 Plus, and despite people loving that color, I was one of the few people who didn't like the color. I wanted the regular black, but unfortunately it wasn't available at the time when I bought the 7 Plus in stock, so I ended up getting the 7 Plus in Jet Black, but honestly, I think this color looks very similar to that black. I didn't include that iPhone 7 and 7 Plus black in this because it wasn't called Space Gray. It was called black. It was something completely different. But this is called Space Gray. So again, this is why I am kind of bringing this into comparison. Now, just for reference, I want to bring in the iPhone 5. So this was launched in 2012. This came out with the slate and black color combination. So just quickly comparing this to the 5S, you can see the 5S is a lot more silver in tone when compared to the 5. And moving further, you can see how much of a difference it actually becomes. This is a lot more reminiscent to a black than it ever is to a silver. And that's what Space Gray should be, in my opinion. Just look at the difference between the 5 and the 6. It's a pretty big gap. However, looking at the new phones next to each other, now you could say that these are somewhat related, because I would say that this new gray color is a mix of the dark black and the slate. when you're looking at it in different lighting, the back changes, but it's very reminiscent to slate or gray, but not black. Looking at the bezels of these two, they're not very far off. They're different, but they're both definitely a blackish color. I don't think you can say black, but definitely a blackish color. The Apple Watch does have a lot more shine when it comes to the coloring as compared to every other color. But I think on a watch it looks absolutely fine. On a phone, I'm not sure how good the colors would look when they were all mished up. So let me know what you guys think about these space grays. Are you okay with Apple consistently changing the color, or do you think Apple should just find a new name and stick to that? I'm kind of on the side of they should have used different names because it gets confusing when you try to describe the phone. Space gray is not space gray throughout. It's a different color every time. However, I am very happy with the newest space gray. My least favorite has to be the iPhone 6s space gray. It's absolutely silver. If you didn't have the silver phone beside you to compare, you would think it's actually a silver phone, not a space gray. So let me know down in the comments below which space gray iteration was your favorite, or maybe it was even the iPhone 5 or the Jet Black 7 Plus that you loved. But let me know which color iPhone you've loved over the years, or which color has Apple used that you've loved. It can be gold, silver, rose gold, whichever one you think. I personally think that my favorite over all the years has to be either the 7 Plus in black or the 8 Plus in this space gray version, which is very sleek looking. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Follow me on social media. All the links are down below. I hope you have a great day. See you in the next video.